Sorry to be rude, but I want to see this.
Quite a few people thought there was a curtain. Is that right? Who thought there was a curtain?
I'll be honest, I was the only one that said there was a curtain. It was a very dark club. I'm not sure why this bloody matters. If
It doesn't matter.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird Night 1. Can I be honest with you? Nobody was accountable in this freaking reunion. Nobody. Now, shout out to Kieran and Megan because they actually are the only couple that actually made it through. And they are the only couple that I have any hopes for at this point in time. But I have to be honest with you. I'm going to talk about everybody. Kieran and Megan, y'all owe Javen a little bit of an apology. I'm just going to be honest with you. Because I will be pissed too. I'm not going to lie. Listen, I'm going to hold Javen accountable, and you know I will because I've done it live with him. So you already know I will hold him accountable. But the reality of the situation is you lied. Or let's say, rather than you lied, you actually more or less kind of like y'all engineered a conversation, engineered something that you actually didn't see. And it's interesting because the reason why it's important is because then I have to question everything you said you saw. And that's the only thing I'm going to say. It's like, it's not, let's say you weren't lying. Let's say that you were adamant in the fact that you saw this thing. And we've all been there before. You know, when you think you saw something, but you actually didn't see it. And then they show you actually didn't see it. That's where they should have gone. You know what? We apologize. We apologize for being so strong on the curtain thing. We were wrong about that situation. You know what I mean? Like they were wrong. And the fact that Kieran also said, actually, it was me that said it. No, it wasn't. Actually, it was Sophie. I watched it back. It was Sophie that said it. And then you backed her up. So now I have to question whether you guys are really being honest. Now, I'm not saying Javen's going to get off lightly here. He already knows I don't like him that dance on the grey line. He already knows. I see you, Javen. I see you, brother. We'll have to get back on here for a quick impromptu thing. You get me? You know what I mean? So for me personally, you know what I mean? For me personally, you know, I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, I'm looking from this perspective. I'm going, I just have to question it a bit more now. You know what I'm saying to you? That's what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying is I got to question it a bit more. You know what I mean? But shout out to Kieran and Megan because they are actually, honestly, the couple that has held it down in this reunion, and I want to see them flourish. I don't want them to break up. I want them to continue to be strength from strength because they look beautiful together and they generally have compatibility. So I want them to continue. I'm just saying that they need to be held accountable. The show didn't hold them accountable for lying on somebody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be pissed too if you know that I was having an argument with somebody and you know I was chilling with all the black people. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to be real with you. I was chilling with all the black people, but you only ever saw me with Sophie. And then you only ever saw me with Anu. You only ever saw me with the other person as well, the other girl, Yolanda. You know what I'm saying to you? But you never saw me with anybody else. It's kind of suspect that you never saw me with anybody else, but you always saw me with the girls. But you never saw me anyone. But the whole, and then even on that episode, she admitted as well that she didn't actually see. I wasn't watching you all night. Well, if you weren't watching me all night, you might want to tell the story a bit different. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, Joe? I'm being hesitant to say they're liars, but more just saying. I'm just more saying that it was a bit cheeky because the show didn't even press it a bit deeper. And then when he was explaining it, then you're going to cut him off for explaining what he felt, like almost like he's being stupid for explaining it. But I understand why he wants to explain it. Now, again, like I said, it's not good optics. If you are in a photo booth, it is not good optics. Javen should know that. You going there, not him going out that night, him going into the photo booth is never good optics. Curtain or no curtain. It's not good optics. The Bible says one thing. It says this: abstain from all appearances of evil. Even if you were arguing and you generally were having a back and forth argument, y'all both in the photo booth, that is what we call not abstaining from appearances of evil. Okay, all right. So that's the main thing. Now, Sophie said she came out and said also too that they were arguing. The question is what they were arguing about. Were they arguing about a relationship? Were they arguing about something else? You know what I mean? Like, that's the real question. Now we have to find out from Javen. Hopefully I'll get to find out very soon from that. But that's the key question we have to ask. Okay? Now, in regards to everybody else, damn, the Mandem let me down this season. I've got to be honest with you. The Mandem, they let me down big time. The Mandem this season, they let me. I can't even defend them. Like, it's hard. Like, I don't know how to even be a lawyer in this situation. My own bias towards men, I can't even find it in this scenario. Let's talk about Cal quickly, first and foremost. I can't even be here long. I got to go on TikTok to do my breakdowns. Okay? All right? Let's talk about Cal's situation. Okay? Cal, what the hell was going on? I'll tell you what's going on. For me personally, looking at Cal, he's afraid of commitment. It's that simple. Cal's got self-worth issues and self-esteem issues. I'm gonna be very honest with you. He's got self-worth and self-esteem. People that can't commit have self-worth and self-esteem issues. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Why do I say that? Because oftentimes what it is that they're afraid of being in a relationship. Number one, being trapped. But number two, also never been enough to actually sustain the length of the period of that relationship. So they end up sabotaging relationships. You see, Carl wanted to prove something. Here's what Carl was doing. This is the truth. Like, whilst I believe that Carl may have had, quote unquote, may have had some good intentions. Here's what Carl did. And this is where I think Javen, Carl, Jed, and maybe Jed less, but Carl and Billy are quite similar. Carl came in there, okay, and wanted to prove to himself that he could commit in a relationship. That's the problem with what Carl did. The problem with what Carl did is that he was trying to use a show to prove that he could be committed. That's the issue. He didn't know he could be committed, and the show outed him for not being committed. That's the issue. And so Kyle actually has to go to therapy right away, right now. Kyle, I want to hear you're in therapy. I don't want to hear excuses about I don't do long-term relationships. It's a lie. You are a person, and I want to use this word politely. You're broken, like the rest of us men. All right, I've been there too myself. If you watch me, I've said this before. I have a self-destruct button after 2 years. I had to go and heal. I had to go and do some work. I had to go and really press in deeper, because what is that issue? It's a self-worth issue. You're broken and you need healing. Go to therapy quickly. Get yourself a nice little coach. In fact, listen, I'm here for you, bro. Listen, I do the coaching as well. I'll coach you, bro. No problem at all. We'll talk about some real stuff, because in reality, right, it's a self-worth issue. If you can't do long-term relationships, it's a self-worth issue. The fact that you try to use a process to try and prove that you could be committed is the biggest problem, because after 3 months, you recognized you couldn't do it no more. Why? Because what Sarova was asking for was too much. Why? Because she was asking for something emotional that you didn't have the strength to give. She was pulling from you, and you couldn't give that to her. And actually, I already said this already. Sarova versus him, she got a very much more anxious tendency, and he's got the avoidant tendency. It's a recipe for disaster sometimes. Because what's going to happen is the anxious person is going to pull on the avoidant person for more. And the avoidant person is going to feel like they're being trapped, they're being clogged, they're going to feel like they're claustrophobic, they're going to feel like you're asking for too much. And that's essentially what he said. And then he tried to refer, and this is where we knew he fell down. When you start referring to the fact that you paid for the honeymoon hotel with your own money, right? I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I think, and again, you were poor at explaining, because you don't, and here's why you're poor at explaining, because you don't process your emotions. This is why you need help. I have to call it out for the man. We have to call ourselves out sometimes as man them. You need help, quick. If you can't explain how you feel, you've got a problem, my guy. And you need to come and see somebody quickly, because you're going to ruin more lives. Stop talking about the fact that I don't do long-term relationships, because you just tried to do one and you hurt somebody. So what you need to do is sit down, go and sit on a bench, get someone to speak to you and start working through your issues, because you got issues. It's okay. We've all got issues. You understand? Some of us have to sit down too. I've been at the game for the last 2 years. Me too, I had issues, bro. You know what I'm saying, Chu? And you need to start actually telling your story, because you've gone through some things in your past that you've not dealt with and you've not processed. And because you've not dealt with them and not processed them, they get triggered in a relationship. And then you self-destruct. You press that button. Boom. That's me explaining the behavior. So I want you to understand that this could have been avoided if you had gone to do the work. So what I want to hear from Carl is that we're a year later on, I want to hear that you're in therapy. I want to hear that you're going to do the work. I want to hear that you're healing in these areas, that you've actually gone to do some self-development. You've gone to look at yourself to do better. Otherwise, you are a plague on our earth. I can't lie to you. You're going to do the same thing to another girl. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get a girl, and she might also have issues, by the way, because a lot of times this is what happens. People have got issues come together. When I say issues, I'm really talking about attachment style issues. I mean, it means the way you attach in relationships, okay? She gonna find you, okay? And she's gonna be like, you know what? I'm not going to ask you for anything. And Carl's gonna be like, okay, cool, I like this. No stakes, No pressure. Cool. Here's what's going to happen, Carl. Carl, you're going to fall in love with that girl and you're going to want to do a long-term relationship. Here's what's going to happen. Okay. Either she's going to break your heart or you're going to break her heart. Whoever comes first. Why do I say this? I say this because what ends up happening with people who have got an avoidant attachment is they tend to find other people that have low stakes relationships, situationships and relationships where it starts off as we're just having sex. And then we suddenly found out that we liked each other and now we're in a relationship. So why I'm saying that is because you might find yourself a couple of years down the line in a relationship that you never thought you'd be in one, but now you don't know how to operate. Now you don't know how to sustain it. And now the pressure is on because you haven't done the training you're supposed to do. You see, there's a preparation for the promise. One doesn't just come out of Egypt and go straight to the promised land. There is a process one must go through the wilderness. There's a stage where you have to start to refine and chip away at some of the behaviors and some of the issues that you have so that you can actually go into the place where you can actually cultivate and receive your blessings. Let me take that out of Christendom and bring it to more normal perspective. Sit your ass down. Because because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to always take yourself out of the blessing of being with somebody that actually cares about you and who you actually care about. If this situation with you and Sarova hasn't made you want to go to therapy or go and get a coach or go and find someone who can speak to you about your issues, you're going to cause more carnage. And then I can't say that you actually have good intentions. At that point, I look at you like you're trying to hurt people at this point. And I don't look at you like that because I want to look at it as that you can see there's a problem. Where have it gone wrong? Where I want to ask Carl, where did you go wrong? This is not to say Sarova's innocent. It's to say, where did you go wrong, Carl? Because you got to a place where you can actually tell us that you felt some way, right? That you could not tell us what actually happened. You could not defend yourself because you couldn't actually explain your emotions. And listen, I get it. Being on a show like that, it's not always conducive for men to be able to explain in length. I get it. You know what I'm saying to you? But again, I think this is also part and parcel why I'm saying that you need to go and process your emotions. You need to go and sit down. I said the same thing to Javen. You need to go and sit down. You need to process it. You need to figure out why you emote the way you emote. Because if you don't, you're going to ruin relationships. Right?
I do wish I'd have discussed it with you, but to me, that would have only like prolonged.
Cal, it was cold.
No, I just
It was
admitted
very
that.
cold.
I just said that.
You don't bring someone to your own hometown, especially.
Now, here's what I do wish. I do wish that on these shows, people shut up. I wish they do. When the men talk, I need people to shut up. Here's why I need them to shut up, so we can actually hear what they're actually saying. Because here's what happens. The men start talking, and then we end up into a diatribe with the women telling us, you know, you could have done this, you could have done that. And it's like, we can't hear what they're actually going to say now, right? Let him hang himself. Keep quiet and let him hang himself. So, or let him actually explain what he's going to say. If he's chatting poop, we now know he's chatting poop. But we need to hear what they're going to say, because every time they start talking, we get cut off, and it's like, I want to hear what they're going to say. I want to hear. He was just about to explain it. He said, "Listen, hey, I know it was cold, but let me just say this now. It was going to be prolonged." He was about to explain the nonsense. What was he going to explain? He was going to tell us this. The reason why he cut it off the way he did is because this. He didn't want to deal with the emotional baggage that would come with Sarova feeling some type of way about the way that he doesn't feel about her. The key thing is this. Carl messed up. The thing is this. Carl recognized that he could not do what he was supposed to do. Carl recognizes that he was unable to love this girl because he doesn't know how to emotionally connect and feel safe. Okay? He does not know how to, you see, what the Love is Blind UK shows us is this, right? That once you take away physicality, people are forced to learn how to connect emotionally. The problem is that even with 11 days, it's not enough time to unlearn all the mechanisms that you have that make you feel safe, that actually are sabotatory behaviors, right? There's not enough time to learn those things for a lot of these men. And so what ends up happening is Carl gets in there, he gets deluded. I said the same thing about women too. He gets deluded. How does he get deluded? He convinces himself that, wow, I might have changed, you know? Yeah, I'm in the process and I'm talking to this girl and I'm not looking at her physically. I'm not looking at her sexually. I'm not looking at her naughtily. I'm just looking at this woman. I'm looking at her through the wall and I'm just loving what I'm hearing. And then we get the reveal. And this is where nature and nurture comes into play. The nature is that a man, I'm sorry, in most cases, I'm gonna say it 95% of the time, physicality and your beauty is number one, numero uno. It doesn't matter how much emotionally connected to you are. I want to see you and I want to feel you and I want to know that I like you. And I've told you in the audience, I've told you about this thing. When a man don't like your face and he only likes your batty and your breast, you're in trouble. That man should look at you and want to melt when he sees your face. You see how Kieran's acting? Because Megan's face is hot to him. I say this all the time, that a lot of man them will tell you, oh, no, bro, do you like her face? It's one of my first questions I asked the man them. I said, do you like her face? I said, do you feel this is the hottest girl you can get in the face wise? Because then I know how you're going to act. Because what ends up happening is man will settle because they're getting sex. Or you're sexualizing. As in you've got sexual energy going on. Right? Anyway, putting that aside for Kyle. Kyle comes out. We find out, obviously, first and foremost, I hear you, TT. Of course, women are attracted to physicality as well. I'm not saying they're not attracted to that, but y'all be telling us all the time that y'all can grow an attraction. Y'all tell us all the time that y'all, it's about security, all that kind of. It ain't for security for us, man. Them first and foremost, do I like your face? It's just that simple. There's a clear distinction between us, oftentimes, right? Not saying women don't like attraction too. Just saying in general, okay? But in saying that, right? In saying that, he comes out. And he looks at her. Okay, he looks at her, sees her, recognizes that actually, you know what? She even has a more was she from an Indian background? If I'm correct, a more Indian kind of features, facial features. She's banging, she's beautiful. I ain't gonna lie to you, right? But she is. You can see the ethnicity. Is that the right word? Ethnicity. I don't know if that's the right word. I might be using the wrong words. I do apologize if I am. Trust me, I apologize if I'm using the wrong words, right? But you can see clearly, just like you see I'm a black man, you can see that potentially I'm either Jamaican, Nigerian, probably not Ghanaian, because most people don't think I'm Ghanaian when they see me, right? You can see that on the look. And I think that straight away for him, he's having to overcome knowing that there's a cultural divide, number one. But number two, he likes white women. And this is why I wish he would be honest with himself. You like white women, Carl. It's okay. Damn. Y'all gonna stress yourselves out, bro. You like white women. It's okay, bro. Go and date them. Why are you stressing yourself? I don't know. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, no offense. I think white women can be attractive. I even think, I think any other ethnicity can be attractive too. I can see the attraction. I'm just not attracted. You understand what I'm saying to you? For me personally, I need them to be Ghanaian for me. Or even, I can do my Nigerians, but y'all be trying to heartbreakers, you know what I mean? My SA people, I can do them. But my ideal preference, number one, uno, is a Ghanaian woman. You understand what I'm saying to you? So I don't lie to myself and be like, yeah, I can do a white woman when I know I can't. Okay? Now, I think I get where the ladies are coming from with this particular aspect, that maybe Carl, maybe gay. I hear that. I personally don't believe that. I'm going to tell you, I said again, there are many men like Carl who don't know how to sustain a long-term relationship. You have to understand that sustaining a long-term relationship requires emotional connection. It means you have to be able to have deep conversations. You have to feel safe enough to not feel judgmental. You've got to be able to connect on your likes and hobbies. You've got to be able to have, you've got to be able to see how you can engage in arguments and see the silver lining. You've got to be able to speak about your feelings and your deep feelings and your feelings that may seem negative, right? You've got to be able to do those things to be able to emotionally connect. When people are avoidant and deeply avoidant, they're afraid of emotional connection. Hence why he can do the very beginning. That's why he was able to show up in the very beginning. But eventually, over the course of time, and his one came really, really quickly, he can't do it. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I don't see the gay bar. I don't really see that personally. If I'm honest with you, I don't see it in my particular aspect. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily see that. Okay, so that's what I would say about Carl in that particular aspect. But like, I wished he was able to say what he said and get it out, because it would have been nice to hear his perspective, because we didn't get.
Finish.
In a marriage.
Can I finish,
Yeah,
please?
of course.
Strover?
You know what I mean?
If there is anything, I will tell you. You never told me till the day you ended up.
Can I go back to that day?
Communication and compromise.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is also important as well, right? I think Carl, I think Carl in his space never felt safe. Now, that may be Sarova, may not be. I'm not going to put that on her necessarily because we didn't get to see as much. But he never felt safe enough to be able to share, and that's the problem. That is the reason why it's happening. Carl never felt safe. I keep saying Carl. Carl never felt safe. He never did. Where his brothers somehow, somewhere, I don't know if is Carl the oldest or is he the youngest? What is he? I don't know what his someone can tell me in the chat if he's the oldest or the youngest. I'm not sure. You know, but for him, his experience with vulnerability is a very bad. It's so funny. Let me explain it this way. Yesterday I was with a friend, a bunch of us, a group of, and one of the guys, as we're all Ghanaians, and one of the guys said to me, he said, "I don't like mango," and we all looked at him like, "Ah, you don't like mango as a Ghanaian? You don't like mango?" And and when he said that, we all looked at him like, "What? You don't like mango? We don't get it." And we all piled on him, and then he said, "Listen," hold on. We used to have a mango tree in the back of my house. The mangoes would fall down, right? So many of them. And then he said, but then I would see that mangoes were rotting and maggots were coming out the mango. And I said, oh, I get it. I get it. What does that mean? It means what you witness now becomes a trigger point. Simply, mango is a sweet ass fruit. But for that gentleman there, my friend, he associates mango with the maggots and the rotten fruit. It's a negative experience. It's the same thing with vulnerability. Now, I'm not giving Kyle a pass. I'm telling him to get his ass into therapy. You know what I'm saying to you? We're not giving him a pass. I'm only explaining the behavior. Get his ass into therapy right away. His inability to be able to emotionally connect and feel safe enough to open up is his biggest issue. If he doesn't learn how to start to start coming out of the cave, to start sharing more of who he is and sharing more about himself and actually being able to be vulnerable and showing different sides of him, because there's more than one side of you, right? Without you feeling safe enough to do that, you are going to kill every relationship you're in. And they're going to tell yourself, I don't do relationships, when in reality, you only yearn for it. You know why we know you yearn for it? Because you done told us that you wanted it because you saw your brothers who had it. So you wanted it. You wanted it. You just didn't, you haven't done the work for it yet. You're not ready for it. You need to go and sit down and you need to go and do the work. You need to sit down and go do the work. If he doesn't do the work, he will keep ruining people's lives. And that's the problem he's going to have. But you're going to still want to have interactions with women, isn't it? Because you're not going to suddenly not stop interacting with women. You're going to want to have interactions with them. It's just going to be fleeting all the time. It's going to get boring very soon. Right? You're still young and still kind of handsome. It's okay, but it's going to get boring real quick, real fast, if it's not boring already. Okay? Now, let me move on quickly because, again, we'll probably have to break these people down a little bit later on. Jed and Bardha, I'll talk to them real quick. I won't talk long about them. Jed and Bardha's instinct is interesting. Jed and Bardha's just really interesting.
And it was because his ex-girlfriend was in the room, which I didn't know. So, you know, I gave it like 24 hours and I thought, well, screw this, I'm not wearing it then. And when he saw that I didn't have it on, that's when.
Now, I think there's something deeper here with Jed and Bardha going on. There's something much more deeper here going on with Jed and Bardha. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, first and foremost, the reason why they even didn't go to the altar to say yes, why was he not 100% sure? I don't know. I mean, I guess because she wouldn't let him lead. But then why was she confident enough to say no at the altar? I still don't know. They had an argument, but I don't get what the problem is. Like we never really. I don't know if anyone can confirm it for me. Do you know what it is? Also, I skipped these episodes. I can't lie to you. Last 2 episodes, I skipped it. I don't know why. What was her reason for why she said that she was calling off the wedding? What was her reasoning for it? Because I'm trying to, and so for me personally, I if you watch my earlier reviews, I said about Jed and Bardha, their problem was when the very first one we saw it was was the car situation when she was driving. She said, I want control, all that kind of stuff. And I said, oh, this is going to be a problem because he wants control. She wants control. Okay. All right. And so I was like, oh, okay, there's going to be some control issues here between the two of them. Now, for them to say no and then try to continue the relationship. Now, I was confused. If we say you know, okay, if we say you know, I want to, yeah, I think she said, yeah, that's what she said. She said the way he shut down, wasn't it? She said the way he shut down. That he shut down and stonewalled her, if I remember correctly. He shut down and he stonewalled her. So Jed is also one of those people who's also an avoidant individual person when it comes to dealing with pain. And I think also the way it's interesting with Jed because I think what I see with Jed is the deeper aspect. Also, I think Jed might be. It's interesting because we saw Jed's family, right? His parents are. I'm trying to think. His parents are together, right? If I remember correctly. I don't know why I forget Jed's parents. Okay, I don't know why I forgot Jed's parents, but his parents are both. They're both in his life, and so is hers. And so it's interesting because she told us that she had to basically become a breadwinner very early on. And I think for him too, I don't know about his parents. I didn't try and see if I remember anything about his parents specifically. Because obviously, if you're having to become a breadwinner, I got my notes here. Hold on. Let me go to my notes, my Jed notes. Let me go to my notes. Listen, when I do my notes, look at my notes. These are all my notes from all the episodes. This is how I do my things. All my notes are on there. Jed and thingy. Let's see, Jed and Bardha. Okay. I want to see their parents. That was close. Okay. I don't have any notes about his parents. Why is that? I don't know why. I don't have any notes on his parents. So something happened. I don't know what it is, but I know that Bardha's definitely an avoidant. Okay, because that level, and someone said it, that level of where she wants to do everything by herself, and you can't tell me nothing. She's a runner. She's a track star. She was giving me fearful avoidant. So I wonder if, and someone, and I wouldn't say necessarily he was secure. I would say that there might be more anxiousness with him because, again, the way have you noticed something also, right? And I'm not saying it was always the case, but with Jed and Bardha, what I heard a lot of times was him professing his love and his care for her. I don't know. I'm not saying she didn't, by the way. She did. She said, I love you and all those kind of things. But it was mostly him that was always professing the love for her. And I'm not saying she didn't say it back, but it wasn't in the I didn't feel like it was in the same level. Then he was always buying her gifts. And then it was like, okay, what's going on? And so here's my thing. I think the truth of the matter is, and again, there might be some other things in here, right? Because if she's saying he's stonewalled, right, then he's got some avoidancy somewhere, right? That situation where if she's an avoidant in some perspective, the moment they have an argument, it's like someone's cut you. And when you don't have the resources and the skills to know how to repair a relationship and repair when you have an argument, it's very difficult. Okay, that's what makes it very difficult. So I think here's what's happening. Him loving her so much also might have been a trigger for her. Him professing always that he cares about her, loves her, he wants to do everything for her would have probably been a trigger because it might have felt like she was being crossed. She might have felt like she was being trapped. Okay. And because we don't know what she said about what he actually did, apart from just shutting down in the argument, if that's what it was, I'm like, okay. I also felt as well a little bit like the friend came in hard. Her friend, I felt was a bit of a problem. I said, why did her friend come in so hard? Her friend came in so hard, like boom. Her friend was like, and I was like, wait. And I was like, okay, wait, Bardha has a history of bad relationships. So we've got a problem here, right? Bardha's got a prospect of having bad relationships in the past. That's why your friend is so heavy on you in terms of relationships. You understand what I'm saying to you? Bardha wasn't, I don't know how ready Bardha was to have someone lead and take the reins. I think she wasn't there yet because some of the arguments they had about her driving or her paying for the date was nonsense. You know what I'm saying to you? So there may have been some triggers there that happened alongside that as well. You know what I mean? And someone said Bardha didn't want to lose her free shot. I can see that. You know what I mean? I can see that. You know what I mean? So my thing is that, but now I have to also balance it. What the frick are we doing taking our ring off when we got an ex-girlfriend in the building? It's nuts to me. Now, I also think when she said female intuition, it's not female intuition. Can I be honest with you? Bardha doesn't have female intuition. Look, I keep telling you this. If your intuition only saves you from betrayal, but does not work when you need to see that person's right for you, I'm going to tell you now, it's not intuition. I want to tell you now, it's not your intuition. I'm going to tell you once more again. If you're a woman and only your intuition works when you're about to be cheated on, it's not intuition. It's trauma. I've told you this before. It's not intuition. It's trauma. It's trauma that's masked as an intuition. No, it's a fear of being betrayed, which makes you hypervigilant. It makes you hypervigilant to betrayal and rejection. All avoidance habit. You know what I'm saying to you? All right? All avoidance habit. So naturally, you're looking for patterns of this person about to betray you, reject you, or even abandon you. So that is a hypervigilance. That's why it only works when you're in it and you're about to escape it, not when it's in the beginning. You know what I'm saying to you? But again, the ring situation, I was confused. I was like, wait, hold on a minute now. Okay. They agreed though. They actually agreed though. They agreed. She actually said it because she wanted to prove that she was still in this relationship. Okay. All right. That was interesting. So then what ends up happening is he then says, take off the ring because we're in public. But in the public area they've done it in, it's like his girlfriend's in the same, his ex-girlfriend's in the area. I don't really do coincidences, personally. I'm sorry. I don't really do coincidences. I mean, like, broski, what the hell? Why is your ex-girlfriend here? That's just, that's weird. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's weird. I don't really do coincidences. You know what I mean? Like I keep saying, abstain from all appearances of what? Evil. Why? Because you can easily get caught up. You know what I'm saying to you? You can easily get caught up. Abstain from the appearance of evil because now this looks evil. Because now your ex-girlfriend was in the building and now she's right. Now she has a leg to stand on. Let's see this. Ex-girlfriend said she was with her man in the gym that he knew which gym she goes. Okay. Yeah. It's a bit tight still. It's a bit tight. I just don't know why I don't know why and me personally, unless my ex-girlfriend generally goes to my gym, I'm not trying to bring my new girl or my new wife or my new potential wife to that same gym. It don't even make sense. You know what I mean? It don't even make sense. What would Jed gain from having his ex and Bardha in the same room? Sometimes you're attracted to chaos, you know. Sometimes you're attracted to chaos. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're attracted to chaos. Sometimes you've got a little toxicity in yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes you've got a little toxicity in yourself. Now, the truth of the matter is, he also wasn't forthcoming. That's the problem. See, Jed could have done this and said, listen, hey, I you know what? I want to be forthcoming. I want to let you know, okay, that actually in a scenario, my ex was in the building. That's not why I asked you to take the ring off, though. But I want to make you aware. He didn't make her aware. And that tells me that you're either conflict avoidant or you're not trying to have that conversation. And that's a problem too. Because that puts people in a predicament. Right? And I'm sorry, if I'm on the other side, I'm gonna think that you did it on purpose. I'm like, how does someone now literally just have their ex in the same place I'm in? Come on. I'm sorry, I can't defend that. And I'm not saying that he's a worse person. I'm just saying I can't defend that, bro. Now, here's what I do know about people and human beings. Okay, people like power. And let me tell you this now. In my younger days, let me tell you this now. The things I have done, I've told you guys already. I've faked phone calls, pretending another girl was on there to make my girl jealous. Like when you have insecurities, this can happen. You know what I'm saying, Chu? When you have insecurities, this can happen. So I can't put it past him for doing. I can't put it past him because I can't put it past myself. You know what I'm saying to you? I've faked phone calls. I've made sure certain girls have messaged me and left my phone out there. Nah, I'm calculated. I've been real calculated. Okay, but let me just say this now. People actually get stuck in the power phase of a relationship. So sometimes when you've been hurt by something, a rejection can put you in a place of trying to accrue power. And sometimes you can triangulate. not in a narcissistic way, but I mean, call it that. We want to call it that. You can triangulate. Let's call it that. You can be narcissistic if you call it that, right? You manipulate by triangulation. I'm just being serious. I'm not saying that he definitely did it, but I'm just saying, I'm telling you what I've done. I've told you I've sat in a car, had a phone call that never existed. I called myself off my other phone. I've done all this. All of it was for power because I felt disenfranchised in the relationship. I felt like the person didn't care about me as much as I cared about them. And my own insecurity already made me feel some type of way. So I know when I see games in it. So I'm confused as to why your ex, now I would not even dream of it. I wouldn't even, if there was any chance of that my ex could be in the same place, I wouldn't even want to go there. You know what I'm saying to you? But I don't know if there's more to the story. There might be more to the story. I want to hear from Jed, because maybe there might be more to the story. You know what I mean? Her moving to Dubai, is it a big red flag? I mean, I guess I can see. You know, she's a runner, she's a track star. I hear it. You know what I mean? Yeah, someone can say runner, track star. I can see where you're going with that. Runner, track star. I can see that. You know, as well. Okay, so you know, I'll put it that way as well. So I'm just saying that it's not even a man thing. It's just, I know. That's why I say when I call out women about the manipulation, I'm telling you I've done some things, so I can say I won't put past anybody. You know what I mean? So if you know you've been a part of situations where girls have used your name on purpose to incite their man, you don't put nothing past nobody on manipulation, bro. You know what I'm saying to you? Certain girls have used my name to piss off their man. I know that already. You know what I'm saying to you? So I know that both men and women can play games, and you wonder why they would do it. It's because sometimes it's power. It's like you feel disenfranchised and you're trying to accrue some power back. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying it's 100% it. I'm just saying there's some gaps in the story that we don't fully understand, and I wish we had the excess storyline because I don't understand it. Okay, Billy and Ashley. I done told you about these two. I done told you about these two.
And met aunties and uncles that I hadn't met in the experiment, and it all felt very real and lovely. And I took you to Miami for Christmas. So I let him into this cabin crew.
This one's a bit different. I'll tell you why it's a bit different. To be fair to Billy in this situation, he done told her from the beginning. Okay? Now, what Billy should have done is said no, which should have happened. Okay? This all, I want to take a risk to try and see. Nonsense. Why are you trying to prove your commitment through taking a risk? I'm sorry. Let's not. Okay? All right? Let's not. Okay? Now, I'm going to hold Ashley accountable too. All right? But I'm going to hold Billy accountable too. Sir, we are not to be taking a risk. This is why I have to back Clay on the altar. Because, listen, we're shooting Billy now, but Clay said to AD, you know what I'm saying to you? And people hate him for it, but he saved their life. Okay? Clay done saved AD's life. We got to give that man some credit. Because we're out here slaughtering Mandem, saying that, why'd you get married when you know you weren't sure? Clay wasn't sure either, and he decided to exit. Fair play to him. Now, Billy, I'm going to be real with you. Okay? Billy, I'm going to be with you. Okay? All right? He's still got trauma when it comes to cabin crew. Okay? Billy's trauma when it comes to cabin crew, yeah. Yeah, Billy's got some trauma there. He needs to work that out. Okay, first and foremost, work it out. But number two, the biggest issue that Billy's got is his rigidity, and the rigidity comes from an attachment issue. Okay, the rigidity comes from an attachment issue. What does that mean? Meaning he's also an avoidant. That's why him and Cal get along. The reason why him and Cal get along is because they both got an attachment issue. The way they attach in relationships, they struggle to show up emotionally all the way. They are afraid of the commitment. And so what ends up happening is when they attach to somebody at the beginning, they're fine. But then when the stakes are raised, when commitment's raised, when the person could potentially abandon them, when they start really caring too much, that's when they trip the wire. I want to explain it like this. It's a bit like when your computer gets too hot and you heard back in the day, not now, but when your computer used to get really hot back in the day, and then the computer would just go doo-doo-doo and just shut down, right? Or your fuse box in your house, or a tripwire in your house, right? The tripwire goes off because something is, you know what I mean? So it goes off. And so in that particular space, what's really important is that avoidance do the exact same thing. When they get triggered, everything has to shut down. The problem with that is they don't explain that. They don't explain it. They just take the space. They don't explain that they're struggling to share and move through their feelings of fear. And it almost feels like there's too many fears to work through. So instead of actually going forward, they quit and sabotage. That's what both Kyle and Billy also did. There's too many landmines, too many bombs, too many things to work through. Let's cut it off before it goes any further. Now, we saw the issues with them. Now, I want to be fair to you, okay? Neither of them were compromising. Let's be honest. I already told you. And Ashley's gone on like she compromised. She didn't. She's not a compromiser either. Okay? I'm not saying Ashley's rigid. I'm saying that Ashley doesn't compromise very well either. It's that simple. We saw it with the food situation. I said it already. Like, these people, they're not going to compromise. Okay? They're going to both struggle with compromising. And I did a whole video on it. So my thing was that specifically though, and Billy said he can be open. The reason why Billy said he can be open when he feels safe. Billy can be open when he feels safe. You know what I mean? So that particular aspect with Billy, you know, I think in that aspect, he was never going to be open enough. Okay. Now he told her this from the beginning. Ashley, fair enough, said she was going to be accountable, and I have to respect that. She said she's going to be accountable. I respect that.
World that you have an issue with.
Hold on.
I love cake. I love Guinness. It's everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Like I said, throughout the experiment, I would drop everything for a date night.
The problem is this, right? He's rigid. She wants to be free flowing. She don't want to be rigid. He don't want to be free flowing. Absolutely right, Dahlia. That's the favorite. Our favorite word around here. Takeover spirit. She has. Okay, she got a takeover spirit, and we said this already. She's desperate. That's why she ignored what he was saying. And because of that desperation, it also meant she forced her hand in these situations with her and Billy. And so Billy also too, not being 100% sure and being triggered by her being so forward, he also too did not communicate with her and left her in no man's land. Because really and truly, both of these people were failing to really communicate what should have been happening. Okay, and I said this. I already said this, that when you watch the cut scene in that episode with the food thing, and she said what she said, I said, "Oh, we got a problem here." For those of you who don't know takeover spirit, so around this channel we have different terms and stuff. Takeover spirit means that you want to lead everything. You say you don't want to. You say you want to sit in the passenger seat, but before you realize it, you're in the driving seat. You're driving too much. You're taking over. You're leading this. You're leading that. You know, you don't leave room for someone else to lead. You take over everything because you're afraid. You can sense that they got apprehension. And instead of allowing the apprehension for the silence to pass, you start talking in the silence. You start moving in the lack of action in that moment. Take over spirit. Okay. All right. So in that space, we've got two people. And one's an avoidant, one's more anxious. And what ends up happening is the avoidant person is trying to hold their boundaries. This is where the issue was. He's trying to hold his boundaries. Problem is, he's very rigid with his boundaries. And then they're both controlling, by the way. He wants to hold his boundaries to a point because for him, routine is a part of his safety. So if you take that away from him, you are saying he can't be safe. But the problem is, he too is rigid. So when she's saying, can I put my food in the cupboard? I want to put it in the cupboard and you should be okay with it. He's also saying like, nah, you can't be in the cupboard because then I might be tempted. And instead of actually owning his own temptation, he's like, nah, I might be tempted. And then I'm like, and then I'll lose myself. And rather than going, actually, this is just what you want. He too couldn't. He had to control it. Two people that control each other in very unique ways. Okay, so everything in this now situation, now she's resentful because now every little thing she says is a little dig. Everything she says is a little dig. Everything she says is a little dig.
But I'll go back to my routine because that's how I am. We actually tried to make it work. Like we would cook for each other, experiment. What does she like? What I like? I would try to adapt. And I felt that was something we actually were able to iron out.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think the problem was?
Christmas happened, New Year's, where my friends and family were like, he's cold.
And he is. Because he was struggling to stay alive. And that's not just her. That's just not on her. That's on him too. You know, that he has a set routine. And if he comes out that routine, now, and I want to say this will happen also. When you're not good with boundaries, this is actually what happens to a lot of avoidance. when you're not good with boundaries, they keep rigid boundaries and rigid routines. And what ends up happening is the moment Ashley tries to change a routine, here's what goes up in his head. You don't care about me. You want to control me. You want to manipulate me, and you just want to trap me. That's what goes through the head of the person. So until Billy's able to recognize that tripwire going off, he can't solve the issue, because that's what happened with the food situation. It's like he couldn't recognize that it didn't require for you both to win or lose. It just required understanding. I want to have my food. You don't. We can cook for each other. We don't have to always cook for each other. I'll cook my meals. But instead of doing that, what ends up happening is we get to a place where we're unable to open ourselves up. And now when Ashley's asking for more, you're like, that's an intrusion. You're intruding on my space. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. And now when he does, you're doing too much, she also gets triggered because there's an abandonment wound there as well, because we saw that when we saw about dad, there's an abandonment wound. So when he says there's too much, she feels like, I'm being abandoned. What's she going to do? She's going to climb even closer. She's going to try even harder. She's going to try and push even more. And by doing that, she's going to push him more and more and more to the corner until he snaps and he says, you know what? I'm done. He doesn't tell you. He doesn't show you. All of a sudden, one day, message you, I'm done with the relationship. Now, I'm not blaming Ashley, by the way. I'm saying to you what happens in these scenarios. He needs to be accountable because he should have never said yes. Okay? He should have never said yes because he wasn't ready. Should never said yes. Okay? You know what I mean? So, in that space. But it takes two to tango, okay? And I respect Ashley for saying it takes two to tango.
He's not in this. His body language is icy. So you then had a conversation with me on the 1st of January.
But it's so interesting because Billy in this scenario, and I don't even think Billy's even dismissive avoidant, which is really interesting. I think he's fearful. And that's different. See, dismissive means you dismiss your emotions, right? Like it's like you dismiss your emotions and you don't want to honor your emotions. I think Billy is a fearful avoidant. That's even different. Why do I say I think he's fearful? Because if you look at his body language now, it's very much geared towards Ashley. Like if you see his body language, it's very much geared.
And
he's a lover boy, really and truly. But his body language is almost geared towards her. And I said, oh, okay, wait. I think his greatest fear is he's also a runner and track star. He's a runner and track star. And I think he struggles to be able to really discern between the swings and roundabouts. I think he often chooses people that are anxious people, and it forces him to be more avoidant than he actually is. Because really and truly, when you see him here, he's not really dismissive. If you really listen to what he's saying, what he's talking about, even the way he's positioned his body, he doesn't really sound like a dismissive. Like, you get that more from Kyle. Kyle is giving you, I'm a dismissive. It's almost giving that, but he could be fearful point too. You know what I mean? Like, if I know his story, if you find out his story, it could be. All I'm saying is that because he probably dates more anxious people, it always looks like he's more dismissive as well. Yeah, the New Year's thing is wild. I don't know why the man then were breaking up the New Year. I don't know what was going on.
Gut-wrenching.
Man said New Year, new me.
The way you described you were feeling...
Split down the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a chance on love every single time. I'm a hopeless romantic. I want to find my forever after, and I'm still going to search for it. It just so happens, and I'm so sorry for this.
Javen said, cut the ish out, boy. Javen's face was like, cut that ish out, boy. Oh man, yes, Billy was romanticizing the process. Absolutely, very different from Carl. Carl really was not romanticizing it. He actually compartmentalized it. I watched a video of him, the interview of him and Sorrel, and on the Netflix interview, and he says, I can separate the breakup from the actual wedding and the marriage. And I said, how do you even separate the two? The two are together. And I realized, no, because he's a dismissive avoidant. So he's compartmentalizing. But with him, he actually romanticized the process. He was excited about it. He was excited about finding love. I want to love this person. I'm going to do it. And then he gets there and he recognizes, I don't have the capacity to do so. Fantasy. Don't have the grit, determination to stay in. Okay. Last but not least, quickly, Javen and Katisha, really quickly, because my time is up and I need to get up and I haven't done what I need to do. I'll do a super panel maybe tomorrow for you guys. Yeah, I'll do a super panel tomorrow. Or I might come out and do it later on. Okay.
Let's get your take on it. Did it feel like flirting to you? In reflection, I'm sorry to Katisha, like that was wrong from me. I was fresh from the experiment.
What's this?
So, Sophie, please, what happened in this photo booth? Nothing happened. We were actually having a disagreement.
Okay. I played the wrong clip anyway. But Katisha, Sophie, Javen, this scenario. Okay, so here's my honest deductions. Okay, Javen and Katisha are both avoidance, and what we saw was two avoidance going at it. What we saw with both Javen and Katisha was two avoidance going at it. Now, Javen behavior was suspect. It was he danced cleverly on the grey. I told him this already. He danced cleverly on the grey. He didn't do too much, but he did just enough. Okay, all right. It sounded like he always wanted to be out. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know he might say that he wants to stay in it. Nah, he wants to be out because he could have called her after and said, "Listen, I really want to work it out and go and be with her." He wanted out. The scenario, the situation with Damola, everything that as well. Katisha not coming forward. I can feel that, right? And what we call emotional disconnection from avoidance. What I would say is this: avoidance do a tendency where they do this emotional disconnection, and emotional distancing. So one of the ways that and you see that men do this with women a lot, right? Especially when they're avoidance. Instead of breaking up with you, they go and cheat, they go and flirt, they go and talk to another girl. And what they're doing is they're intentionally creating distance between you and them. They're creating distance because they really want you to be able to, break up the relationship. They really want you to leave. They don't want to leave themselves. Now, Javen should come and defend himself another time, but he should break off before then. He should break up before then. You know what I'm saying to you? I ain't see that man have no fight in him. I'm going to be honest with you. I ain't see Javen fight for Katisha. I'm going to be real. I didn't see no fight. So when she was leaving, it's like, yeah, but it was like you were done already. You know what I'm saying to you? So so for me personally, he was emotionally distancing. That's what I feel like he was doing. Then with Katisha also, problem with Katisha is she's cold. She's cold too. These are two cold people. When I say cold, what I mean by this is that, look, the way she handled Damola, we still haven't got an apology. Now, I don't know if she apologized privately, but we haven't even heard an apology on that reunion. Even after being told by Javen in the earlier episodes, we still haven't heard an apology from Katisha. Katisha is in a space where, and this is where I think Katisha's in. Katisha is in a space where, in the past, she did what everyone else wanted to do. Now she had an opportunity to change that, and she decided to choose to do something different. In choosing to do something different, she feels justified for choosing herself, as she keeps telling us, as to why she doesn't apologize to Damola. We don't have an apology. We still don't. Right? Does she see what she did to Damola? Does she see that her changing and doing what she did would be painful and hurtful? Surely. So that tells me that that tells me also that the emotional empathy also aspect. When you feel justified and you feel hurt and you feel angry, or you know what I mean? When you've chosen yourself, you're still got some work to do. Because sometimes when you go from being the person that always gets hurt to now being the one that hurts, it's very difficult sometimes, okay, to find balance. But she hurt Damola, and in that space, and that's why I said she does feel just. We know she feels justified because she never took the time to apologize to Damola. We know that already, yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say, and that's why I said that she lacks accountability, but also she lacks connection with her own emotions, and with that struggle. Because the way she's probably been hurt by men in the past, she probably feels like it's okay to do what she done. You know what I mean? So I was waiting for that. But instead, she was more pissed off with Sophie because it's an easy bet to go after Sophie because Sophie's obvious. I'm not saying Sophie, she's wrong for going after Sophie because Sophie done played her. Like, I can't lie to you. Sophie did dirty because Sophie should have been going after someone's man. But the reality situation also, Sophie's also a villain. So is Katisha. Because why have you still not apologized? Why have you still not got it? I got more apologies from Javen, and that's crazy. You know what I mean? I got more apologies from Javen than I have got from Katisha. I've heard about 2 or 3 apologies already. You know what I mean?
You. And it was embarrassing. Like there was people watching us shout at each other.
I want to get some more of the clips. Hold on.
Experiment and I came out of a situation.
I want to get a bit more click. I want to be able to get this as well. Okay. All right. So yes. Yeah.
Apologize to you. I apologize to you about even going out that night. You don't remember me apologizing?
Can I just quickly say I'm really sorry, Sophia, because I do understand.
Now I don't know if that's an edit. The way I don't know if that was an edit or whether that generally she, you know what I mean? Because when he said obviously he apologized, and I don't know if it cut and she just ignored it, or was it just, I don't know if that was a moment. But again, it's like I said, I see both of them being this similar mirror to each other, right? Because this would have ended badly. I can guarantee you this would have ended badly. This would have ended bad. And I'll tell you why. Because if you can't be accountable for Demola, I'm telling you, something would have happened in the relationship. And what would have happened would have been a triggering for both of them, because she would have taken accountability later on. He'd have been pissed off. He'd have done something too, because he would have gone out of his way and done something as well. He'd have been triggered and done something back in return. Or she would have done something back in return, whatever it was. You get what I'm saying to you? There'd have been issues on both sides. This would have turned toxic. It would have turned toxic on both sides, because the behavior here of avoidancy is strong.
I went a bit off there. You were not engaged to me. Javen was, so we'll take that from here now.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
the problem is the way it was represented, as if I was doing something. And that's the only reason me and Megan Eve had a disagreement.
I
should have just stopped talking to her completely when she started making.
You're saying, we're all dating, but me and Javen were not dating.
Yeah,
So I want to get a clip where she was talking. Sorry, I want to get a clip where she's talking. In that sense, because it's funny, because Demola also said him and Annie wouldn't get along, which is crazy, and he's absolutely right. Annie would have told him a new one in that particular space, so it would have been interesting to see what would have happened in that particular space. Yeah, Demola, free Demola.
The way it was represented, as if I was doing something, and that's the only reason me and Megan Eve had a disagreement. It was more the way that it was communicated. Which
in the morning when we had a conversation, why did you not mention about the photo booth?
Because it wasn't important. The photo booth wasn't important at that point in time. The photo booth became important because of what Sophie had said. I have to be fair to you on that regard, right? Now, what would have been fair would have been him to just say that they had an argument on the dance floor. Now, that would have been more helpful for him to say. She have said they had an argument on the dance floor. Okay, so that's where we should have seen things in that respect. But yeah, no, it's I think it's interesting, right? Yeah, she did say that. I know, I saw that where she said obviously thing, because she was looking for reassurance. That's the fearful avoidance side of her. She was looking for reassurance because, and that's why I said about her not paying attention and where she's at in her healing journey at this moment is that she can't see when she's being the person who's aggressed. She could only see when she's been the one that's been aggressed against. She can't see that she hurt somebody, because she's so used to being the victim in a situation. So it doesn't even register in her mind that, do you know what I mean? That she's also a villain alongside Javen. So when she obviously asks, obviously, you know, did you even like her? She genuinely meant it, because for her personally, she genuinely felt like she wasn't sure. But the reality of the situation was, that's how she felt like, I believe, from the pods. You never were sure if he liked you or not. You were always in that position. Which is where the trauma patterns exist. Yes, absolutely, Roslyn. We said this a couple of weeks ago. We said the same thing. You know, her saying that would have been the same thing, and that's why I said that Javen did to her what she would have done to Demola. Yeah, Javen did to her what she would have done to Demola. It would have been the same thing. You know what I'm saying to you? It's that Javen got to her first. Javen got to her first. You got what I'm saying to you? So it's one of them ones there. Javen says her saying that was disappointing because it was almost like she believed what she saw from the show than all the hours we had together. That was disingenuous question. Well, I don't think she was being disingenuous, you know. I genuinely think she was generally asking you because she's not secure. She was never secure in your relationship. You know what I'm saying to you? That is a fearful avoidance perspective. She was never fully secure in that relationship. You get what I'm saying to you? So she had to ask because her anxious side is seeking reassurance to feel like she was actually valued and cared for. But that's why she was chasing you in the first place, because you were presenting as if you're almost unattainable, and then she felt like she had to project her confidence, her own confidence onto you. And so that's why she was chasing, she was attracted to you. So she's used to the trauma pattern cycle of chasing to be valued. She's used to having to chase someone to feel valued and then trying to attain them. That's why I said that. That's why she couldn't go for Demola. Now the question we got asked, you know what I mean? So, but yes, I said about Javen also, you dance on the line a little bit, my guy. And we need to know the reason. We need to know the real full reason why Javen was dancing on the line. Because I feel like I don't feel like the pods. It's after the pods. I felt like you were dancing on the line. I felt like you were dancing on the line. Like, you know, it's like you heard something and then you didn't fully commit to it. That's what it felt like. It felt like you heard something and you were never fully committed to after that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean I'm giving you a pass. I'm just saying that sometimes you can feel something, you don't like something, but you're not communicating that what you don't like and what you don't know, and it's causing you not to be connected as you need to be. Now, you said on the reunion that you can be really open with certain people. Oh, well then, oh, I want you so open with Katisha. That's the question. Why weren't you so open with Katisha? You know what I mean? So that's what the herein lies the question. We got to ask the question. Why won't you so open with Katisha? You know what I'm saying to you? But that will come in time. You know what I mean? Look, my time is up, guys. We will be back. I might try and come back later on tonight. We'll see. I just need to just go and probably do another live quickly on my TikTok. But yeah, this situation, it's gonna be interesting, you know. Yeah, I think there's more that we need to break down as well. I also would love to be able to interview Jed. You know, I'd love to be able to interview Jed, you know, Carl. I'd love to be able to interview a lot of these guys, man, because I think it'll be good to hear some of the guys' perspective as well, you know, in that space. I hear that. Why didn't Javen ever validate her? It comes off as though he didn't care. If he did, he would have validated her at times, especially when it mattered. So I'm putting a night of the mixer. Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? You know, shout out to Javen because he has said he will do an interview on his side, and I appreciate him as well. You know what I mean? Shout out to him because I know he said he will do an interview. So he has been consistent with that. He's been saying that he will do an interview, so I respect that. And he has put me in touch as well. So I appreciate that, Captain, as well. When we get that interview, we'll get that interview going, you get me? But listen, look, my time is up. Okay, all right. I probably will do the super panel probably tomorrow, because it's on the UK. I want to do it on the UK time. But yeah, this has been a interesting Love is Blind UK, and I cannot wait you know, to have a super panel together and you know, to get some different opinions as well. I know some of you guys want to say your piece as well, but I would love to get some of the guys. I'm going to DM them. I'm going to DM them and see if I can get the guys to come on here. I want to be able to have because I want to be able to understand what was going on. I want to understand where Jed is coming from. I want to understand where Kyle is coming from. I want to know where Billy's coming from. I want to know where they're coming from. What is it that made you guys make the decision you made? And I really want to give them a platform to be able to share exactly because I think a lot of times in these scenarios with people who are avoidant, there's actually a reason why, which is partly themselves, but they also see something that they don't like. And instead of telling the person, they start drifting. So I want to know, what do they see that they start drifting? You know what I'm saying to you? But yeah, we will get there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yes, Megan was unaccountable. Megan and Kieran were both unaccountable in their situation. They should just apologize and move forward. I don't know why they didn't apologize. Instead, Kieran doubled down, then tried to, and fair play to Kieran, he defended his girl because he tried to rewrite history. He told us that, oh no, he's the one that said the curtain. I watched it back. No, your girl said the curtain, and you said the curtain too. You backed her up when I got the curtain. So shout out to Kieran for defending his girl. I'm never mad at it. You know what I'm saying to you? They say couples that stick together always, win. You know what I mean? So whether I agree with him or not, he stuck with his girl and he made sure. You know what I mean? Okay, so my thing is now I have to look at Kieran and Megan a little bit differently, because I'm gonna be honest with you. If you guys can make up there was a curtain there and stand 10 toes down, I have to question your eyewitness. If this was a court of law, they would be questioned differently, because how can you be so certain there was a curtain and not be? That would literally end that particular process. You know what I mean? So I just want to be honest with you on that particular perspective, that I have to be fair in that respect. You know what I'm saying to you? In that aspect, So gotta be fair, gotta be fair in that respect as well. All right, cool. Listen, my time is up. Let's be having ya. I appreciate you guys. Lots of loaded. We'll see you again soon. Much love, much appreciation. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. You know what I mean? You need to do what?
Get out of here, man.
I'll say it one more time.
Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
Get out of here, man. Okay, all right. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked today. We'll see you again soon.
You know what time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is.